The chandelier light at the Cresthaven Country Club spilled like liquid gold across polished marble floors, casting a warm glow over the annual Ferraro family gala. Sophia Marino smoothed the creases in her sapphire cocktail dress, acutely aware of its simplicity amid the swirl of bespoke gowns, tailored tuxedos, and heirloom jewelry. At 39, she was the family's unspoken disappointment, a woman they'd labeled with polite cruelty as unrealized potential. To them, she was a cautionary tale, a brilliant mind who'd squandered her promise for reasons they couldn't quite fathom. "Sophia, there you are." The voice belonged to her cousin Elise, slicing through the hum of laughter and clinking glasses with the effortless authority of someone who just secured a $400,000 bonus. Elise glided toward her, a vision in a crimson gown that hugged her frame like it had been sewn onto her that morning. Her recent ascension to chief operating officer at Ferraro Enterprises shimmered around her like an aura. "We were just catching up on everyone's triumphs this year," Elise said, looping her arm through Sophia's with a familiarity that felt more performative than warm. Sophia offered a practiced smile, her fingers twitching toward her phone, where an encrypted email about tomorrow's $1.8 billion merger awaited. It was a deal Elise had nervously approved in a flurry of late-night signatures, unaware that Sophia held the strings. "Congratulations on the promotion, Elise," Sophia said, her tone polished but distant, her mind already sifting through the confidential documents locked in her briefcase, documents that had come straight from Elise's legal team, marked priority, immediate. "Oh, thank you, darling," Elise replied, her lips brushing Sophia's cheek in a fleeting perfumed gesture. The scent was sharp, expensive, and overwhelming, like gardenias left too long in the sun. "I'm surprised you even noticed, considering how detached you've been." She lingered on the word detached, letting it carry the weight of unemployed or adrift. Elise gestured toward a cluster of relatives nearby, their faces gleaming with the polish of success. "We've been swapping stories. Luca just launched his third AI startup valued at $200 million. Can you believe it? And Mia's gallery in Paris is the talk of the art world. Oh, and of course, I'm spearheading the Ferraro merger with Novolum Corporation." At that moment, Aunt Valeria, Elise's mother and the matriarch of the Ferraro clan, appeared at their side, a flute of champagne dangling from her manicured fingers. Her eyes, sharp as cut glass, fixed on Sophia. "And you, Sophia? Still tinkering with that consulting thing?" The way she said consulting made it sound like Sophia was peddling homemade candles at a flea market. "Yes, still consulting," Sophia replied evenly, sipping her sparkling water. Her thoughts flickered to tomorrow's boardroom showdown, where she'd face Elise's team and finalize terms that could either cement Ferraro Enterprises' legacy or unravel it entirely. 10 years, Elise mused, shaking her head with a pitying smile. 10 years since you left that corner office at Harrington and Pierce. For what? A little consulting outfit nobody's heard of. Sophia's lips curved faintly. She thought of her cliffside estate in Amalfi, her pied à terre in Tokyo, and the biotech firm she'd acquired last month through a labyrinth of shell companies. None of it bore her name. That was the genius of Horizon Ventures, the firm she'd founded and grown into a shadow empire, a silent force reshaping global markets from behind layers of anonymity. "We're managing," she said, her voice light but edged with something unreadable. "How's the merger going, by the way? I heard Novellum's board is digging in on the valuation split." Elise's smile flickered, a crack in her flawless facade. "It's fine," she said too quickly. "Nothing you'd understand. billion-dollar deals are a different league." Before Sophia could respond, their cousin Nico, newly minted partner at a boutique law firm, sidled up with a glass of bourbon and a grin that oozed condescension. "Sophia, still in that broom closet on Market Street? You know, we're always hiring. I could put in a word, receptionist, maybe?" Sophia bit back a laugh. Just last week, Nico's firm had pitched Horizon Ventures, hoping to snag a role in the Novolum merger. They'd had no idea the woman on the other end of the video call, background blurred, voice calm and unassuming, had been her. "That's generous, Nico," she said, her smile syrupy. "But I'm happy where I am." And she was. Tomorrow they'd all learn who'd been pulling the levers behind the deal that would redefine their family's empire. "Sweetheart," Aunt Valeria cut in, her voice dripping with that saccharine concern only family could wield. "You shouldn't settle for comfortable. Look at Elisesh's about to close the biggest deal in Ferraro history. This merger will make her untouchable. If only they knew Novolum Corp was one of Sophia's creations. A phantom entity designed to back Ferraro Enterprises into a corner where Horizon Ventures could emerge as the savior. Elise's career-defining deal was the final piece in a chess game Sophia had been playing for a decade, not just to expand her firm's reach, but to prove to her family who they'd dismissed all these years. Speaking of the merger, Elise said, glancing at her diamond-encrusted watch, I should run. Early meeting tomorrow with the consultants. They're just advisors, of course, but we have to play nice. She flashed Sophia a patronizing smile. You should swing by sometime, Sophia. See what a real operation looks like. Sophia swirled her sparkling water and set the glass down with deliberate care. Actually, she said, I've got a meeting myself tomorrow. A signing, in fact. Big contract. Nico, ever the opportunist, smirked. Finally landed a client for that little firm of yours? She met his gaze, her smile calm but knowing. Something like that. Tomorrow's going to shift a few things. As Sophia slipped out of the ballroom, she caught Elise's voice trailing behind her, low and sharp. Poor Sophia, still chasing fantasies. What a waste. In the quiet of her car, a sleek, custom-built sedan her family didn't know she owned, Sophia checked her phone. An email from Julian, her senior strategist, glowed on the screen. Everything's set. Ferraro's board is on edge. They'll sign anything. They still don't suspect we're holding the deck. She drove through the city to her penthouse, a sanctuary tucked in a glass tower her family had never visited. The skyline glittered below as she reviewed the merger contract, a masterpiece of precision. Buried in its 400 pages were clauses that would transfer strategic control of Ferraro Enterprises to Horizon Ventures, and by extension to her. Elise thought she was sealing a legacy. In truth, she was handing her company to the cousin she'd always treated like a footnote. In her home office, Sophia unlocked a steel safe and pulled out a leather-bound dossier labeled Project Ferraro. Inside were years of notes, timelines, boardroom maneuvers, family slights catalogued alongside pivotal deals. Every condescending remark every time they'd called her dreams cute, or her ambition misguided, had fueled this moment. She picked up her phone. Lila, she said to her assistant, make sure the penthouse boardroom is ready for 8:30 a.m. and have the photographer on standby. I want every moment captured. Yes, Ms. Arden, Lila replied, her voice crisp. Arden. That name never surfaced at family gatherings, but tomorrow it would be etched on a contract worth billions. As Sophia lay in bed, staring at the city's pulse through her floor-to-ceiling windows, she didn't feel the thrill of revenge. She felt the weight of inevitability. Power didn't need to shout, it just needed a signature. The next morning, Sophia stepped into her private elevator at the pinnacle of Manhattan's most exclusive office tower. Her tailored charcoal suit, a bespoke creation never worn to family events, fit like a second skin. As the elevator climbed to the 68th floor, the city sprawled beneath her, oblivious to the reckoning about to unfold. The doors parted to reveal Horizon Ventures' executive wing, a symphony of glass and steel. Good morning, Ms. Arden, Lila greeted, handing her a tablet. The Ferraro team is in the main boardroom. Your cousin Elise is vocal about the wait. Sophia glanced at her reflection in the polished walls. Gone was the understated Sophia from last night's gala. Today she was Sophia Arden, the architect of an empire. How long have they been waiting? She asked, though she already knew. 25 minutes, Lila said, a spark of amusement in her eyes. Ms. Ferraro has mentioned her unacceptable schedule, at least 15 times. Then let's not keep them longer, Sophia said, adjusting her cufflinks. The main boardroom was a cathedral of power, its floor-to-ceiling windows framing Midtown like a living mural. Elise stood at the far end, mid-tirade, her voice sharp with indignation. This is beyond unprofessional, she snapped to no one in particular. I don't care who this consultant is, nobody keeps Ferraro Enterprises waiting. Nico sat nearby, scrolling through his phone with a bored expression, while Uncle Matteo, Elise's father and Ferraro's CEO, leaned back in his chair, his face a mask of controlled impatience. Two board members flanked him, their briefcases open, papers strewn like battle plans. The room fell silent as the doors swung open. Elise whirled. ready to unleash another volley. Finally, do you have any idea who? She froze when she saw Sophia, her expression collapsing into a kaleidoscope of shock, confusion, and dawning dread. Sophia! Nico stood so fast his chair scraped the floor. What the hell are you doing here? This is a closed meeting. Sophia crossed to the head of the table, her heels clicking with metronomic precision. She set her briefcase down with a soft thud, the sound cutting through the tension like a blade. Good morning, she said, pressing a button on the console. Screens lowered from the ceiling, each one blooming with the Horizon Ventures logo, a minimalist phoenix rising from unseen flames. Apologies for the delay. Let's begin the discussion on the Ferrara-Novellum merger. Uncle Matteo leaned forward, his voice low and edged with warning. Sophia, this isn't a game. We're here to meet SM. Arden. Where is she? Sophia opened her folder, her movements deliberate. I'm right here, she said. Sophia M. Arden, founder and CEO of Horizon Ventures. And as of this morning, majority shareholder of Novellum Corporation. The silence was deafening. Elise's face blanched, her crimson gown from last night replaced by a navy blazer that suddenly looked ill-fitting, like a costume outgrown. Nico rifled through the documents Lila was distributing, his hands trembling as he scanned the pages. This can't be right, he stammered. You're a nobody consultant. You work out of a hole-in-the-wall downtown. Sophia's smile was serene, almost indulgent. That's one of our regional offices, for smaller clients. Horizon operates in 52 countries. We own this tower. And as of today, through Novellum's acquisition and the restructuring of Ferraro Enterprises' $2.3 billion debt, she clicked to the first slide. A web of transactions and holdings unfolding like a digital tapestry. We hold a controlling interest in your company. Her presentation was a masterclass in precision, each slide peeling back another layer of her decade-long strategy. Shell companies, silent acquisitions, leveraged debt woven a net so intricate Ferraro's board hadn't seen it closing until it was too late. When I left Harrington and Pierce, she said, her eyes locking on Uncle Matteo, you all thought I'd failed. But I was already advising 4 Fortune 500 companies. While you laughed at my little firm, I built a global network. Matteo stared at the charts, his jaw tight. Novellum is yours? Through a series of trusts and partners, yes, Sophia said. Just like the private equity group that's been buying Ferraro's debt for the past 4 years. She turned to Elise, who'd gone unnaturally still, her usual bravado replaced by a glassy stare. You thought this merger was your triumph, Sophia said. But the terms, the fees, the leadership transition theory non-negotiable. Because this time I'm not asking for a place at your table. I own it. She slid the final contract across the table, its pages heavy with intent. Horizon Ventures will assume operational control of Ferraro Enterprises, she said. We'll restructure the executive team and roll out a new strategic vision, effective immediately. You can't, Nico blurted, his lawyer's swagger crumbling. The board would never. They already have, Sophia cut in, nodding to Lila, who tapped her tablet. The screens lit up with scanned signatures, a unanimous vote from the previous night. Once they saw the full scope of Ferraro's liabilities, $1.2 billion in unsecured loans, regulatory exposure, they understood the alternative. Without this deal, you'd be facing bankruptcy proceedings by next quarter. Uncle Matteo rose, his shoulders sagging under the weight of a crumbling dynasty. Why, Sophia? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Why go to these lengths? She stepped around the table, meeting each gaze in turn. Matteo's resignation, Nico's panic, Elise's mute horror. Because 10 years ago you taught me something, she said. You taught me that in our world perception trumps truth. That a title means more than talent. That a Ferraro name and a custom suit earn more respect than quiet work. She paused beside Elise, who still wouldn't look up. Last night, cousin, what did you call me? A waste? Elise flinched, a smudge of mascara betraying her composure. Sophia didn't press, returning to her seat. Here's the truth, she said, clicking to the final slide. Ferraro Enterprises is now a subsidiary of Horizon Ventures. Elise, your role as COO is terminated, effective immediately. Nico, your firm's contract is cancelled. And Mateo, her voice softened, not with warmth but with finality. You'll announce your retirement this evening. The next hour was a blur of signatures and stunned silence. Executives filed out, clutching folders filled with terms they couldn't contest. When only Elise remained, Sophia called out softly, "Next gala, Elise? Remember, success doesn't always wear Prada." Alone in the boardroom, Sophia stood by the windows, the city humming below. Lila approached, offering a steaming coffee. "Was it worth it?" she asked. "Hiding all this for so long?" Sophia thought of the years of slights, the helpful job offers, the smirks disguised as concern. Then she thought of Horizon's reach. 10,000 employees, 200 clients, a legacy of innovation built on her terms. It wasn't about revenge, she said. It was about proving there's another way to win. You don't have to play their game to matter. Over the next year, Ferraro Enterprises transformed under Horizon's stewardship. Sophia appointed leaders based on merit, not lineage, dismantling the nepotism that had choked the company's potential. Elise surfaced months later in a mid-level role at a logistics firm, her LinkedIn profile stripped of its former bravado. Nico's law firm limped along, bleeding clients after losing Horizon's business. The family shifted too. The next gala was held in a vineyard, not a ballroom, the air lighter without the weight of posturing. Aunt Valeria asked about Horizon, not with her usual sarcasm but with a cautious curiosity, though she still bristled at the name. Sophia's father, who'd watched silently as his daughter endured years of dismissal, pulled her aside under the string lights. "I'm proud of you," he said, his voice thick. "Not just for the empire, but for how you carried it." In her office, Sophia kept a single photo from that boardroom meeting, not for spite, but as a reminder. True success wasn't about settling scores. It was about building something enduring, something hers. Horizon acquired its 150th company last month, a quiet milestone she didn't share at the reunion. Some stories, she decided, were better left for the next chapter.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.